So, this week's package is small. As I'm opening this, I'm going to give a shout out to Piper, the sister of YouTube commenter Jasper. Hi Piper, I hope you appreciate the shout out. So since there's just 3 animated DVDs, there's some other stuff. A gift from a friend that's Star Trek the Animated Series, which I think completes my original series stuff. I picked up Bravely Second, although I've not played Bravely Default. I have it, so that'll be an option. And a copy of Pokemon X. And, hey look, it's a Jigglypuff Amiibo. I was kind of figuring Jigglypuff would be a good one to get just because Jigglypuff was my main for a long time in Melee. Makes it really easy to get disappointed by computer players because they're so bad at playing Jigglypuff. Oh well, let's go through these. I guess the Fruit of Grisaia is here on the front, so we'll just begin with that. Let's see, this one looks like it's subtitled only. All 13 episodes on 3 discs. I'm not seeing anything that says anything about seasons, so... Open up. This one, we just need to double check. Region A only. The Blu-rays always have that possibility of being region A and B. And I guess last week we saw Gundam involved with the DVD regions 1 and 2. I'm guessing they went for a international release. So it looks like this is interesting. You see, things like this are what make collecting both DVD and Blu-ray versions interesting, because you can kind of see, well, you can't kind of see, you can actually see they've got completely different artwork on all 5 discs between the 2 releases. It's pretty cool. I don't know what to think about the series itself, but we'll have to find out. I can't even really tell what it's about. This one is Strawberry Marshmallow, Ichigo Mashimoto, of course. This is an old release. I only got the Blu-ray release, but they did re-release the TV series on DVD as well. I just looked at what they said they had, and then I fired up my old Geneon DVDs and verified, oh, I actually have everything they're releasing. Which surprised me, because I remember when I first downloaded anything related to this. Actually, I'm wondering if I never downloaded the TV series itself. But I remember episode 0 with them playing in space kind of thing. So, oh jeez, there's all this plastic that I guess I missed. Anyways, this one should be dubbed because the original was dubbed, Region A. So I didn't pick up the DVD version, but it's out there, and that's why I didn't pick up the DVD version, because I have the old Geneon version. Which is unfortunate, because I can't really compare the artwork. But, there we go. That's pretty straightforward. OVA, I think, comes out next month or the month after. I haven't figured that out yet, but I just noticed that that's also on the horizon. Since that one wasn't released on DVD, I will be getting the DVD and Blu-ray versions of that. So, again, it's a small week. I did not realize they were wearing lingerie on the cover there. Oh, look. Those say Season 1. I wonder if there's more than 1 season. Well, it's a complete season either way, but this week's anime DVD collection update. So the only anime I've watched is, I started watching Rail Wars, and I think I'm going to continue going. But, like I said last week, I had other non-anime stuff I was going to catch up on, and I caught up on that enough such that I could have been watching a lot, but this has been actually a very difficult anime to watch, and it's because this red-haired lady is a really sexist bitch. I can't think of any other way to do it. I mean, she's just a horrible human being, period. And, you know, there's plenty of anime where there's barely tolerable characters and whatnot, and she's just over it, just way, way, way over that line for me. And, to begin with, content-wise, the series seems... It strikes me as kind of mediocre. I could definitely see some people like really enjoying it as their personal favorite, but from a design perspective, he's a guy who is kind of just placed there for us, and we're not even given a whole lot of information about him. It just sort of like, yeah, here he begins, and stuff is happening. He doesn't seem, the other guy doesn't seem to have as much of a presence. He's there, but I'm not entirely sure why, 100%. It seems more of a balancing act where the two ladies are kind of the more idea, and it feels like it's a pandering where they're going a little too far in certain directions in terms of what some of these characters used for. So the problem with Pink-Haired Girl is that, at least as it begins, you're kind of like, okay, well, she's there to be, I guess, I think of her as a complete opposite to Red-Haired Girl, because she's there to, like, be this super ridiculously pleasing character, to be there, super ridiculously pleasing personality, big boobies, it's emphasized a lot, and it feels a little pandering given the extremes there, whereas she's your, oh, she's off-put by men sort of type, except, again, that's a common thing in anime, but she's just going way overboard. I mean, there's never a breath, because it's usually the two of them, and she, I mean, even in the first episode, I kind of didn't even remember this, and maybe I complained about this when I watched it, because I watched the first episode of this with the Austin Anime Group, and I'm not sure, I don't remember if I even talked about it or remembered having watched it back then for the YouTube update, but in the very first episode, it's like, okay, what do you do about a groper? Oh, you shoot him, and it's like, oh my god, this person's applying for security. You hear that, and the very first thing you should be doing is saying, well, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, because that is not the mindset of somebody you want there. And it's bad enough that some people would probably have it and keep it under wraps, and that's just a reality, right? But this person's very blatant about it, and that's a very bad foot to start off on. I mean, she started off on the normal bad foot of, oh, the wind blew some girl's skirt up, and because he turned his head because she screamed, and that would have been the pink-haired girl, you know, somehow that makes him a sexist pervert. Which makes no sense, because it's not like he turned his head knowing he was going to get a panty shot or anything like that. So, you know, that's a pretty common thing where you lose respect for characters because they are quick to jump to conclusions and blame people. And again, it goes worse, and I guess that first episode should have been a real sign of just how bad it would be, because that's a weird joke. I mean, it's a weird joke. She like calls the main character a womanizer, and I'm like, what has he done that would qualify that? It means that she's assuming a priority that's the state he's in. It's like, oh yeah, he likes a girl with big boobs. Well, technically, he likes a pleasant girl. She happens to have big boobs, but it doesn't seem like he's sitting there staring at them drooling. He's engaging her in conversation. So there's a complete disconnect with what Red Hair is saying versus what's actually happening. And it gets even worse when it's like, okay, a situation is there, and instead of trying to figure out the situation, she wants to physically attack him and bury the fact that she pointed a gun at him. I mean, she said that she grew up the daughter of a police officer, and so she was trained to use guns and self-defense and stuff, but apparently she doesn't even know basic gun safety. Maybe this is just a Japanese problem where the original authors, writers, or whatnot just don't understand gun safety, but you don't point a gun at somebody. You don't point an unloaded gun. You don't point a gun even if the safety's on. You don't point a gun even if your finger's nowhere on the trigger. That's a general rule of guns. You only point guns at things that you expect to damage. And she actually pointed at him saying, maybe I should blah, blah, blah. And she blames other people when she got bumped and the gun went off and didn't hit him, but hit something near him to create a confusing situation related to other stuff in the episode. But she's a horrible person. And it's getting harder to actually continue watching this. It almost reminds me of Peach Girl, where you had that one, if y'all have ever watched Peach Girl, it's supposed to be your standard drama. The only problem is that the source of drama seems to only be caused by the friend of the main character when it should be ridiculously obvious that she's doing it, and it's like her motivations in Peach Girl were just her motivations were not fun, and the idiocy of the main character in terms of dealing with it was disappointing. I guess that's, you know, her reactions are pretty bad, but the other problem is just that this stuff is obviously bad. I mean, she shouldn't have made it through simple training. Her superior shouldn't have said, "Oh yes, I wish we could do that, but we can't do that, so you have to put the gun away." When it comes to talking about shooting gropers, because there's an entire element of that which is, well, how do you know that someone's actually a groper? Somebody says, "Hey, it's a groper," but what happened if the train was stopping and somebody was like, "Oh my God, somebody touched me and I wasn't paying attention to the fact that the train stopped and everybody's scooted for it. Somebody groped me." And basically she thinks she can be judge, jury, executioner, and she wants to be violent about it, and she explicitly hates men, and it's horrible. It's uncomfortable to watch. So if this is not rated very well, I'd say she's the main reason. Because everything else, there's really not a whole lot else to it that's definitely great. It kind of reminds me a bit of Kokoro Library in a good way, where it kind of felt like Kokoro Library set itself up to be a kind of slice of life, whimsical, simple, light-hearted thing, but I'm not sure that it necessarily had too much content per se and had to be arbitrary. And I kind of feel like Rail Wars is a better evolution along those lines, where it's got an idea, and there's trains involved and stuff like that, but maybe it's a little too far in the other direction, because the action seems a little over the top. I mean, these characters thought special assassins with sniper rifles and whatnot were targeting them, and they're not even very special police officers. They're just specialized security for a train company, essentially, a big train company. But it's weird. It just feels out of touch in that regard, and it's strange. And in my opinion, that doesn't carry enough for just how horrible a person she is. And I just have to debate, because I like to give series a chance, and I've seen some of them pay off. My Bride is a Mermaid, I think it was called. I can't remember the Japanese name. I don't even remember if that was the English name either. That one had a pretty horribly treated main character, and he was, I don't know. I was going to say that he wasn't a particularly fun person to watch per se, but I guess it's less a problem with him and more the situation he was put in. And that shows one where it was very interesting where they decided to go closer to the end, because I thought that was a neat twist. And there were also little things here and there where it's like, okay, well, the one girl's dad is a little possessive, he's a fucking Terminator, so that's actually very amusing. And I haven't seen anything yet in Rail Wars that redeems it in that regard, but I guess I'm going to still continue trying to push through it, but right now, what I've seen so far, it has me feeling sick. Fortunately, non-anime wise, things have actually been pretty good. Because I watched okay, first I determined that I had not actually seen the last 2 episodes of Season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I kind of figured that out when I started the 3rd season. I'm like, I don't remember this being where it left off. So I went back, took a couple peeks. I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely didn't see that sort of stuff, and that was something I've been wondering the entirety of Season 2. So I finished off Season 2, which was actually pretty good, because my memory of where Season 2 had ended had been pretty good. The details during Seasons 1 and 2, yeah, you get fuzzier over time, but you get back on track because of that, and that allowed me to get into Season 3 and resume it very immediately, I guess. I could feel things developing a lot better. And I think it's been interesting. one of the fascinating things about it is it has struck me as being kind of an example of how superhero stuff has kind of evolved. Where, while you might have had some of the old Batman and Superman movies and stuff, and you go back further in time, you also have animations and whatnot, kind of the more mainstream appeal of them is changed, where it's like, okay, that's such a comic book character design that it's neat that it's in there. It's something that, I don't know, I guess would seem even just a little bit corny, even compared to X-Files, I guess. Because I was looking at it and I was thinking of shows that, like Mantis, which maybe didn't take off too well. And I don't know if any of y'all have even heard of it. That one was a very short-run series as far as I remember. And I only remember an episode with a guy controlling a robot remotely that was a bodybuilder thing. They need to put something on it. They talk about the snake spot, which is supposed to be a place where a guy had a tattoo where he couldn't reach it. It's like, yeah, you put it there and he won't be able to reach it. I'm like, oh, I can touch my fingers in the back, so I don't know what that means for me. That's all weird topic aside stuff, but it's interesting how season 3 kind of goes a little more radical with its stuff, but the genre has matured enough that I could see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still being considered mainstream. I don't know if it actually is. I think my parents watch it. Not to say that they are necessarily mainstream people, but because my dad plays World of Warcraft and he started at the age of 55 or something around there, and my mom, she plays Minecraft and World of Warcraft, and I guess my brother's trying to get her into Terraria, but Terraria is so much more of a platformer. But you know, even still, they watch it. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe feels like it has a lot more broad appeal, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't feel like it's too far outside of that conceptually. So it's just kind of interesting. It kind of feels like things have changed. Like, you can have this thing that looks a lot more like, oh god, why can't I? The green electric guy from Street Fighter, why can't I remember his name? Was it Blanca? Something like that. So you kind of have a character showing up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that looks like that. It's like, yeah, well, I'm surprised we've gone this long without seeing something like that. And truth be told, it feels natural, but at the same time, it's just kind of comical, as in like comic books comical, not funny comical. It's just interesting. And I've still got one more episode to watch because basically my friend helped me be lazy, and he got me the download versions of the 18 episodes that had aired up to that point, so I was able to catch up on those. So all I have is episode 19. Episode 20 obviously airs tonight, but that one's not a high priority for me because I try to keep the timing in line with the movies. So episode 19 of season 3 aired last week, just before Civil War hit theaters, so I consider that to be fair game, and episode 20 could have bleed over effects from Civil War, or it's always possible Civil War could have bleed over from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I think they tend to be pretty good about keeping the direction of consequences in the right direction in that regard. So, I don't know. I do the same thing with anime. I'll hold off watching a One Piece or Naruto movie until me and my friend reach the respective episodes. So I have Naruto the last movie or whatever, Naruto Shippuden the last movie, and I don't even think that's the last one. I don't know what they're doing. But I'm not going to watch that until we reach whatever episode we need to, and I have to check on that now that I mention that here. Oh gosh, so much to do. But you know, I'm doing the same thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe in this regard. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was kind of nice to have on in the background. It was not too hard to follow while Terrariaing sometimes. But otherwise, I've been mostly spending my free time doing Terraria when I have free time. Job searching is continuing, but for Terraria, making slow progress. I've been going through single player on my own, which I think is the way the game is designed, because this has all felt very doable. I've just had to make leaps and bounds in terms of preparedness for taking on certain obstacles in hard mode, because like the first hard mode bosses are leaps and bounds more difficult than the hardest easy mode boss. And along similar lines, I've made progress. If you're curious how far I've gotten, I've recently defeated Terraria, and now that biome chests in the dungeon are unlocked, I did have a corruption key, and that's a really awesome weapon. But I kind of want to grind for the other keys. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at gameplay-wise. I guess I could construct Shroomite stuff, but... oh well, one thing at a time. So, I guess that's the everything update. Again, ending this update with, sandwiching it with a shout out to Piper, sister of Jasper, from my YouTube comments. Hey, beyond that, hopefully y'all will have a nice week.